5, 10 people. Before we even had tribes, we had something called bands. And then we had tribes, and then outsiders of the tribe threatened the safety and survival of the people inside the tribe. And this is where we start with origins of discrimination. But when we have 200 million people, we don't need to be worried about the safety of our tribe from quote, quote, outsiders, because the outsiders are really part of our tribe here in America. Or yes. 300 million people, or 400, or
and this is how we evolve.
Let's go 7 billion people if we really want to take the big picture.
Yes, and then now the whole theory between the in-group and the out-group, and then you get into those theories, and then we start breaking down within the in-group to say, okay, you can't be part of the in-group unless you walk this way, talk this way, dress this way, act like this. To conform. More of this confirmation of others dictating your hierarchy.
Stealing your authenticity, because the consequences of not being authentic, the consequences of not walking that way, of not adopting, is expulsion from the group. So we even see in discrimination. You think you go back to some of these. Let's look at other minority experiences and think about early interracial relationships. I mean, the privileged Caucasian was expelled from Caucasian in-group because they dared objected to saying, no, they're fine. We're okay with this, and so people were pushed out of the privileged space. And we see again in terms of our own, look at what bisexuals go through. Well, how can you either got to be gay or you got to be lesbian, but you can't make up your mind, so you're out of our community. When we formed LGBT in '95 or so, the bisexuals and the transsexuals were all standing there going, why are we outside this? We were at Stonewall. And the bis were just as much excluded from L and G space because you can't make up your mind, so you're not one of us. And in fact, I think most human beings, we're a little bit omni.
Yes,
we really are a little bit omni. We all have shared experiences. Some are more harmonizing to our space, but I think very few people are 100% homosexual or 100% heterosexual.
Well, once again, that comes to exactly who you see yourself as. Because I see myself, I only use the label trans woman because everything has to have a label on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Oh, I hear you.
In all actuality, I don't really consider myself to be, how can I say it to be politically correct? I don't like the label of being a trans woman. I'm plain old Andrea. And a lot of, within the trans community, I get judgment because I don't wear the lipstick every day. I don't run to the hairdresser every other week. Yes, I will admit, I used to be a prostitute. But how about, the only reason why I did it was because I had to have something to eat on the table.
And that's actually one of my big fights, is about economic advancement in our community.
Exactly.
When I transitioned in the 20s, Jesus. We're not talking more cleaver. We're talking going all the way back.
Yes, we are.
Prohibition, honey.
Yes. So when I was in my 20s, let's put all the language in there. The messaging I had received through the 60s and 70s was that the only jobs open to us was at like 1/4 of our salary. I was hoping maybe to get a job at McDonald's and hide in the back of the kitchen, or work in the gray and black economies of the sex trade. And if it was not that I was rescued by my mentor, Ricky Wilkins, I would have gone that route. I had helped found the Edelweiss Club in New York City. I knew all the scene. Drugs were all over the place. And it would have been just as easy to slide down that path and get trapped there. But someone said, no, Denise, you can have a real job. And for some stupid reason, I believed them. And I got the real job. Yet, I know folks from those periods who went down that road. They're dead. They have HIV. And we have to look at our economic advancement. I mean, just the other night when I was talking to all these bankers in New York City, I was saying, well, for the trans community, unemployment is double the national rate. And they're like, oh. And I said, and for people of color who are trans, it's 400% the national rate. And this is unacceptable because these people should be entitled to jobs. They are perfectly good workers. They are talented. And it's the gatekeepers of gender conformity that are keeping us out of the workplace.
Exactly. Exactly, but